The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides specific guidelines for overcurrent protection of transformers, detailed in Table 450.3b. It's important to understand these requirements to ensure safe and compliant electrical installations. Primary overcurrent protection is a mandatory requirement for all transformers. Now let's address secondary overcurrent protection. Secondary overcurrent protection is required for transformers that supply branch circuits or feeders. According to the NEC definition, a feeder consists of any conductors that carry current from the source to a distribution panel board or other power-consuming equipment. So if a transformer is supplying a feeder, it necessitates secondary overcurrent protection. The specific code reference to consider is NEC 450.3 ATWO, which states, and I quote, "Transformers shall be protected from overcurrent on both the primary and secondary sides." This statement reinforces the need for protection on both sides of the transformer. Here's a breakdown of how to apply these requirements to 75 kV amps, or kVAR 480/208 volts transformer. Since the transformer is rated for 208 volts on the secondary side, it is considered to be a feeder according to the NEC definition. Consequently, secondary overcurrent protection is indeed required. In summary, both primary and secondary overcurrent protection are required for a 75 kVA 480/208 volts transformer, according to the NEC. When an electrical inspector requires secondary overcurrent protection for your transformer, it is based on the NEC, which explicitly requires it for transformers that supply feeders. Here are some additional points to consider related to transformer protection. Firstly, transformer size and voltage ratings directly influence overcurrent protection requirements. Larger transformers may need more robust protection schemes. Secondly, the type of load connected to the transformer affects the required protection. Sensitive electronic equipment may need additional protection against voltage surges or sags. Thirdly, coordination between primary and secondary protection devices is vital. This ensures that the correct device trips under fault conditions, minimizing downtime and potential damage. Fourthly, ambient temperature can influence the performance of overcurrent protection devices. Adjustments may be needed in high-temperature environments. Fifthly, regular inspection and testing of overcurrent protection devices are essential to ensure their proper functioning. This includes verifying trip settings and response times. Sixthly, proper documentation of all overcurrent protection settings and coordination studies is crucial for future reference and troubleshooting. Seventhly, consider using smart overcurrent protection devices with advanced features such as remote monitoring and control. Eighthly, be aware of any local amendments to the NEC that may affect transformer protection requirements. Ninthly, always consult with a qualified electrical engineer or inspector when designing or modifying transformer protection systems. Tenthly, ensure that all overcurrent protection devices are properly labeled and accessible for maintenance and inspection. Regarding specific overcurrent protection devices, fuses and circuit breakers are the most common choices. Fuses offer simple and reliable protection, but they require replacement after each operation. Circuit breakers can be reset after a trip, but they may be more complex and expensive. The selection of fuses or circuit breakers depends on various factors, including the transformer size, voltage rating, and the type of load being protected. For primary protection, fuses are often used due to their high interrupting capacity and ability to handle large fault currents. For secondary protection, circuit breakers may be preferred due to their reset capability and ease of coordination with downstream devices. When selecting overcurrent protection devices, it is essential to consider their amp interrupting capacity, or AIC rating. The AIC rating indicates the maximum fault current that the device can safely interrupt without failure. The AIC rating must be greater than the available fault current at the point of installation. Available fault current can be calculated using engineering formulas or determined through a short circuit study. Ignoring the AIC rating can lead to catastrophic failure of the overcurrent protection device, resulting in equipment damage, personal injury, or even death. It is also important to consider the time current characteristics, or TCC, of overcurrent protection devices. The TCC curve shows the relationship between the current flowing through the device and the time it takes to trip. Coordination studies use TCC curves to ensure that the correct device trips under fault conditions, minimizing downtime and potential damage. Coordination studies involve plotting the TCC curves of all overcurrent protection devices in a system on a single graph. The curves should be arranged so that the downstream devices trip before the upstream devices, isolating the fault and preventing unnecessary outages. When coordinating overcurrent protection devices, it is important to consider the inrush current of the transformer. The inrush current is a high-magnitude current that flows into the transformer when it is initially energized. The inrush current can be several times the normal operating current of the transformer and can last for several cycles. Overcurrent protection devices must be sized to withstand the inrush current without tripping. This can be achieved by using time delay fuses or circuit breakers with adjustable trip settings. Additionally, grounding is an essential aspect of transformer protection. Proper grounding provides a low impedance path for fault current to flow back to the source, allowing overcurrent protection devices to quickly trip and clear the fault. The grounding system must be designed and installed in accordance with the NEC and other applicable standards. The NEC specifies requirements for grounding electrode systems, grounding conductors, and equipment grounding conductors. Improper grounding can lead to electrical shock hazards, equipment damage, and increased fire risk. Surge protection is another important consideration for transformer protection. Voltage surges can occur due to lightning strikes, switching operations, or other disturbances on the electrical system. These surges can damage or destroy transformers and other electrical equipment. Surge protection devices, or SPDs, are designed to divert surge current away from sensitive equipment and safely dissipate it to ground. SPDs should be installed at the transformer primary and secondary terminals to provide comprehensive surge protection. Monitoring of transformer parameters can provide valuable insights into its health and performance. Transformer parameters such as voltage, current, temperature, and oil level can be monitored using sensors and data acquisition systems. This data can be used to detect abnormal conditions such as overloads, overheating, or insulation breakdown. Early detection of these conditions can prevent catastrophic failure and extend the life of the transformer. Regular maintenance is essential for ensuring the reliable operation of transformers and their protection systems. Maintenance activities should include visual inspections, insulation testing, oil sampling, and overcurrent protection device testing. Visual inspections can identify signs of damage such as cracked insulators, oil leaks, or corrosion. Insulation testing can assess the condition of the transformer windings and identify potential insulation weaknesses. Oil sampling can detect contaminants in the transformer oil, such as moisture, acids, or particulate matter. Overcurrent protection device testing can verify trip settings and response times. Furthermore, NEC Article 450 covers transformers generally, while other articles may apply based on specific applications. For example, Article 455 covers electric heating equipment, which may involve transformers. Article 620 addresses elevators and similar equipment where transformers might be used. Articles 690 and 691 pertain to solar photovoltaic systems, which often incorporate transformers for grid interconnection. It is crucial to remember that the authority having jurisdiction, or OJ, typically an electrical inspector, has the final say on code interpretation and enforcement. Therefore, maintaining open communication with the AHJ and addressing any concerns promptly is essential for ensuring compliance. Code interpretations can vary, and local amendments may exist, so verifying the specific requirements with the local authority is always recommended. Continuing education and professional development are crucial for staying up to date with the latest NEC requirements and best practices for transformer protection. Electrical engineers, electricians, and inspectors should regularly attend training courses, workshops, and conferences to enhance their knowledge and skills. This ensures that they are equipped to design, install, inspect, and maintain safe and reliable electrical systems. In addition to the NEC, other industry standards and guidelines can provide valuable information on transformer protection. The Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, or IE, publishes numerous standards on transformer design, testing, and protection. The National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, publishes standards on electrical safety in the workplace. These standards can complement the NEC and provide more detailed guidance on specific aspects of transformer protection. Finally, advancements in technology are constantly shaping the future of transformer protection. Solid-state relays, digital protective relays, and smart grid technologies are enabling more sophisticated and reliable protection schemes. These technologies offer features such as adaptive protection, remote monitoring, and self-healing capabilities. As technology continues to evolve, it is important to stay informed about the latest innovations and their potential impact on transformer protection. The initial energizing of a transformer, especially a large one, requires careful consideration to minimize the risk of inrush current-related problems. Soft start methods or controlled switching devices can be employed to limit the magnitude of the inrush current and prevent nuisance tripping of overcurrent protection devices. Regular thermographic surveys using infrared cameras can detect hotspots on transformer windings and connections, indicating potential problems such as loose connections, overloaded conductors, or insulation degradation. Addressing these issues promptly can prevent equipment failure and extend the life of the transformer. Coordination studies should be reviewed and updated periodically, especially after any changes to the electrical system. This ensures that the overcurrent protection devices continue to provide adequate protection and coordination. Changes to the load, addition of new equipment, or modifications to the grounding system can all affect the coordination of overcurrent protection devices. When replacing overcurrent protection devices, it is important to select devices with the same or better performance characteristics as the original devices. This includes amp interrupting capacity, time current characteristics, and voltage rating. Using undersized or incompatible devices can compromise the safety and reliability of the electrical system. Emergency procedures should be in place to address transformer failures or other electrical emergencies. These procedures should include steps for isolating the faulty equipment, restoring power to critical loads, and notifying the appropriate personnel. Regular drills and training exercises can help ensure that personnel are prepared to respond effectively to electrical emergencies. The NEC provides specific requirements for the location and accessibility of transformers. Transformers should be located in well-ventilated areas to prevent overheating. They should be protected from physical damage and unauthorized access. The working space around transformers should be adequate for maintenance and inspection. The NEC also addresses the use of transformers in hazardous locations. Transformers installed in hazardous locations must be designed and constructed to prevent ignition of flammable gases or vapors. Special enclosures, wiring methods, and overcurrent protection devices may be required. Transformers used in healthcare facilities must comply with additional requirements to ensure patient safety. These requirements include the use of isolated power systems, ground fault protection, and redundant power supplies. Transformers used in data centers must provide reliable and uninterruptible power to critical equipment. Redundant transformers, automatic transfer switches, and backup generators are often used to ensure continuous power supply. Finally, the NEC is not a substitute for sound engineering judgment. Electrical engineers should use their expertise and experience to design and install safe and reliable transformer protection systems. They should consider the specific application, the characteristics of the load, and the potential hazards when selecting and coordinating overcurrent protection devices.